swirling.
Peace, 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 y'all. Peace, love, and many blessings to each and every one of you. Welcome back to Redefining Authenticity, or welcome if this is your first time coming. Welcome in. Come on in. Make sure while you're here, you're clicking like, subscribe, and turning on that notification button so you can keep up with us every single time we show up live on YouTube. And guess what? You get to follow both of our pages with this little banner that's going to be scrolling the whole show. So make sure you follow both of us on YouTube so you can see all the things that we're talking about in our business. My name is Sheronda L. Barksdale, the business specialist, and I'm a spiritual life empowerment coach at Authentically Your Expressions, LLC, where we are helping you live your most authentic life.
Yes, yes. And peace and blessings, everyone. I am Kim Martin Raymond, your toolbox essentialist, and I am the founder of Redefining You LLC, also home of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. And we are heavy into my 365-day challenge. We are on day 76. What you know about that? 76 days we've been doing this, going strong. And so just delighted to be here, to be sharing, to be, doing some things. We're doing some things individually and collectively, right, my sister? We are doing some things.
We're doing some things. We have great things going on. Make sure you follow us. Go to our links at the top of both of our pages. Then you get to see everything on our website, what we got going on. You can listen to old shows and all that good stuff. Come on, get this healing in. Come on and get this healing in. As you enter the room, say, hey, y'all, so we know you're here. Thank you for being here. And are we ready to get started, Kim?
We are ready to get started. We are not going to delay. We're going to go ahead and get crack-a-lacking on talking about bad habits that are actually trauma responses.
Yes, this is a post that I saw on Facebook, and it was written by Pre Blanks. So I want to give credit where credit is due. I feel naked. Why are you calling me out on stuff? Or the things that I have done, and I know that I've healed from since then. But I thought that was an important conversation because when we're redefining our authenticity, it's good to be aware of yourself, to know that some of the things that you're doing it just may be a trauma response, and the more you can call it out, the less likely it's going to create a problem for you. Peace, G. Thanks for being here.
Hey,
yeah, so we're going to talk about that. Kim, you want to get started? Or you want me to get started?
Yes. Well, yeah. You can go ahead and get started. But what I do want to do is that, since this 365-day challenge is about creating healthy habits, I thought this was wonderful because we do have to be able to identify the bad habits that are taking place, so that way we can begin to move the needle towards those more healthier habits. So, we have to know where we're starting before we know where we're going, if that makes sense. So it's just a matter of getting that trajectory going. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it with the first one.
And we kind of talked about this before, but I'm glad it's not, we can't talk about this stuff enough. But one of the bad habits that some of us has, peace, Ingrid. And Ingrid was here when we talked about this before. You self-isolate when things get hard. That's a trauma response sometimes. It's a response to feeling like it's a response to feeling like you had to handle everything alone, or that expressing emotions made you a burden. So I was talking to someone about this recently, and a young lady, and she was saying how I will not cry in front of people. I will not cry in front of people. And I wanted to dig a little deeper about, where that came from. But when she expressed her emotions or she cried, people called her big baby. Here she go crying again. Oh my God. So now she's learned to use that as an opportunity to self-isolate when she feels the need to cry. And that's rough when you can, and I get it. So that's That's tough. That's all I have for that. It's really tough when you've been, especially in these things usually stem from childhood. So if you were a child who had like a parent who was an addict, for example, and you had to handle everything, you were getting the kids. Your mom had 5 or 6 children. You were the oldest of them. You had to make sure they got to school or things like that. You self isolate every chance you get, right?
Right.
It would make
Right.
sense. That's just an example, Kim. What you thinking?
Yeah, when you talk about that, we've been taught, especially some African American men get this like,
Man.
they suck it up, stop crying, stop being, we've been conditioned not to share
Yep.
because it shows a sign of weakness, but we have to realize that by nature we need to be able to express the things that we're going through.
Yes.
And when we begin to suppress our feelings, then we wind up reacting, because now we've gotten to a point where it's reached a level that we can't tolerate, and now we explode. And so it
Explode.
becomes worse when we self-isolate. We
Yes.
have to be able to get those emotions out and be able to do them in a healthy way, so that way, when we connect with like-minded people, when we talk about group sessions,
Yeah.
coaching sessions, things like that, that's a wonderful introduction into it too. If you're a person that self-isolates, to start
Yes.
going into group sessions where you're with like-minded people. We've seen this years and years when you talk about people who have gone into triple A, AA meetings and things like
Yeah.
that. You're getting together with like-minded people who may be experiencing the same thing, and that starts to cause that self-isolation to dissipate a little bit, because
Yes.
now you're seeing that no, it's not just me. It happens to other people. I'm not alone, and now I can express it in a room full of other people who kind of get where I'm going. But we
Yes.
have to be able to, the most important thing is to be able to get those emotions out. When we start suppressing them, we're setting ourselves up for implosion, for things to start
Yes.
to affect us. And that's where it's going to start affecting us physically,
Yeah.
mentally, spiritually. It starts breaking us down from the inside out. And we don't
Out.
want to get to that point.
Absolutely. This is one of my things when I had a checklist of who the type of person I would like to date and be in a relationship with. Can I communicate my emotions freely to this person? That's why it's good to be aware of this within yourself and be aware of your own needs. Because if you're somebody who knows that you've been traumatized by just expressing yourself emotionally, you'll get into a relationship, although you're still a person who needs to express, you learn to self-isolate instead, and then you keep repeating relationships with people who will not let you express yourself, and you don't understand why you're not feeling happy, because it's not authentically you.
Right.
When you don't authentically show up and know what you need, you have to be fully aware these people made me feel like I couldn't have it, but that's not my problem, that was their problem.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, let me try to, like Kim said, get into groups of people, find like-minded individuals, be around people who allow me to express myself freely. So then I feel comfortable when it's time to date and be in relationships with being in pursuit of someone who's going to allow me to express myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And just like you said, it's in a response to trauma. And what does trauma tell you? Don't tell anybody
Tell
that I'm
anybody.
doing this. Don't you say anything to anybody. And so it sets us up for doing that naturally, because we feel like, okay, things have gotten hard. We are not supposed to tell. We're not supposed to say anything, and then we go right into a shell.
Go right
And
into
then it becomes a bad habit. So that even when we're outside of the trauma, we've already been conditioned that that's the way we have to handle it. So
Yeah.
we've never learned how to get beyond that. So yes.
Exactly. And I love the tip that she gave for this. Challenge yourself to reach out, even in the smallest ways, by texting or calling or just sitting in the same room with someone, because connection helps heal. Kim, when I read that, I was like, we just talked about that. The
Mm-hmm.
importance of connection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's important. You have to.
Community is
We're
here.
built. We were born and created to connect with other beings. It's just the nature of the beast. Sorry, y'all.
Right.
Sorry.
It's like you said, so some people it's church. Some people it's church, going to church. And just even if you're just sitting in there, you're hearing a word of encouragement. But honey, when they say go around and hug your neighbor, sometimes we need that hug. Sometimes we just need to connect with somebody in that way.
Yes, ma'am.
So go church, hug your neighbor. Get some love.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's
All
move
right.
on. Okay. All right. You struggle to set boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
We know that this is a hard one for so many people because we do. It says, as a result of being taught that saying no was selfish and that your needs didn't matter. We
Mm.
struggle because we do not know how to say no. Absolutely. It is a complete sentence. And we have to be able to say, I've said no to people telling them, I want to be able to give you my best. And in this particular situation, I can't say that I'm going to be able to provide the best for what it is that you need. So I'm
Yes.
going to have to say no. And sometimes people are like, oh, they don't know what to say behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not saying no for to be mean. I'm saying no because I want to be able to help, but I'm not in the space to be able to help you the way that I would want to. That's going to satisfy this need that you have. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to have to say, sometimes you have to spin it that way and say no.
Yep.
So that's why I'm saying no, because I'm not going to be able to give you your best in this situation. And then we don't want to be an enabler. We don't want to keep telling people yes and then having animosity towards them. So we
Yes.
have to set boundaries towards we have to set boundaries for ourselves, because in saying no, then I don't have to feel mad that I'm doing something that I didn't want to do in the first place, and I'm beating myself up.
Yes.
I didn't
Being
set the
caught
boundary.
up.
I didn't set the boundary. I kept saying yes. And so if my yeses are my yeses and my no's are my no's, then people can be clear about where I stand on certain things. But if
Yeah.
it's yes today and no tomorrow and maybe the next day, then people are going to always keep coming to me for something. And it's something that I already know that I do not want to do, but
Yeah.
I keep saying yes. So I'm
Yeah.
setting myself up too. When they talk about setting boundaries, don't set yourself up
Yes.
by not setting those boundaries.
Yeah, I see English. I think she was commenting on that last slide before it switched. We got a little delay here. But she said, I'm on the opposite end of that now. I withheld for so long that I can't and won't do it anymore. I just won't surround myself with those who aren't interested in acknowledging my feelings. Yeah. And that's part of setting boundaries as well. It's just you learn how to set boundaries by experience. Let's be true. You have to go through some things to realize what I should have never said yes. I bet you I won't do that again. You start learning where your boundaries are and when to say no, because it's not to say you can't do anything for anyone. There are some people that with ease, I do anything they ask me to, because I know the energy is reciprocated. I know how it's going to structure, and it doesn't bother me because I know this person. And there's other people who I know are going to plug a cipher into my arm. So that's not what I'm going to say. And they're going to try to suck every ounce of my energy, every opportunity that they get. Even when it comes to being a life coach, I do not accept every client. And I had to learn that as a lesson. At first, I was so excited about being a life coach. I got clients that I was kind of accepting everybody. And some of these people were fruity loops. They were absolute loops. I'm trying to, and they'll show up for their sessions, but you can't get them to stay on topic. They want to be argumentative about things. And so I had to learn, pay attention. You knew it, Sheronda, during the consultation. You heard it, but you just wanted to go ahead and heal the world. Let's go heal the world and make a couple of dollars while doing it. Let's heal the world. Now it's like, no, I won't be able to accept you as a client. I think that you might need a therapist instead. I think maybe if you work with a therapist for about 6 months, and then let's revisit this. And then I've told some of them, are you taking your medications? I could tell. I could tell. And I'm like, do you take medications for? Yeah, I'm supposed to, but yeah, I can't work with you until you're consistently on those meds, because I don't think you realize how sporadic and all over the place you are a little bit at times. So once you can get that in your system for a good, because it takes 30 days to get in your system real well. After that, we can start working together. But no means no. Full stop. No, period. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. And if somebody tells you no, honor their boundaries.
Right. I like that tip. It says start with simple boundaries, like taking a pause before agreeing to something. Your comfort matters just as much as others. So if you're not comfortable doing it, or if it's something that gives you pause, then you have to say to yourself, okay, wait a minute, let me think about this. I'm looking at the bigger picture. I'm looking down the road to see, okay, what do I want the end result to be? And we talked about this in one of the previous shows as well. What do I want the outcome of this to be? And if the outcome is not for me to feel some kind of way about this person, or to start, moving away from that person, because I'm like, look, that person's always asking me for something. They always need something. They always beg us. If I know that that's going to be a problem, then I need to have the conversation so that way we're not consistently coming up against this same brick wall time after time after time. That's the thing. If you're coming up against it time after time after time, and you say, why does this person always keep coming to me? Because you like them. Because you like them. Yeah. That's why.
And I love what Kim said. Have the conversation. The person may not even be thinking about it that way, but it's what you feel, and your feelings are valid. You get to feel like this person is bothering me, but let them know. Say something. Well,
I like what Ingrid said. Yeah. Go ahead. Ingrid said, you can't help everybody. Learn that the hard way. My mantra, if you're going to do it, don't complain. And if you're going to complain, don't do it. Shazam.
Beginning and end. And I love that. I think that's how I learned right there. Way before I even saw this, I learned how to set boundaries by taking that pause, by not answering immediately, because I get some excitement about being there for people. That's just one of the things that used to make me happy, until I started realizing how tired and drained I would feel with my own stuff going on. I didn't have my first child until I was 33. So being able to do things for people was kind of easy because it was just me.
Right.
But once I became a mother, and then the mother of 2 children, it's a little more difficult trying to manage my time and also do certain things. It's not a no because you bother me, or it's not a no because I don't want to. It's just I can't. Sometimes
Right. And then you learn that other people's emergencies are not yours. Just because it's emergent for them does not mean that it's my emergency. Yeah. And I have to say, well, you know what? I'm sorry. And you want people to, like I said, you don't want to become an enabler.
Yes.
You want to be a person listen to, okay, so no, you can't do it. And they're going to have to figure out what to do, because we tend to think that we are the end all to be all. If we don't do it for them, they're not going to be able to do. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Because knock on wood, God forbid something happens and you're no longer here. What are they going to do?
Kim sound like somebody who's been pulled on a lot. We're going off since we got to this, but that's because you have a good heart, though. Yeah, you come across this person that people think they could just, and then once you lay the boundary down, the boundary is there.
And I sleep real good at night saying no.
Yeah,
real good.
As you should, because it's not an attack on nobody.
That's right.
It's not an attack.
I'm at peace
because you are honest and authentic.
That's it. That's it. And when you're at peace, you're going to sleep just fine. You're not going to worry about it. It's not going to bother you. Yeah. All right, moving on.
Struggling to set them boundaries, cut it out. So people who struggle to say what they really mean, I don't know nothing. I don't struggle.
Ingrid said she don't apologize no more. That's right.
Yeah.
No apology.
Ingrid, did you ever? Anyway. But you struggle to say what you really mean. It's a trauma response from feeling unsafe, expressing your true thoughts or emotions in the past. And that, maybe in my youth, I could see how that was probably an issue for me, because I did struggle a lot of times. Me and my mom's perceptions on how to express emotions are totally different. So being raised with someone who is more of a sweeping under the rug, let's push those feelings aside person, while I'm like, I need to spill it out all over the place, we butt heads. So as the child of that situation, I sometimes struggle. So sometimes it felt like I shouldn't say anything. And also, I'm surprised nobody's come at me about saying stuff like this yet. And also in the church, I learned that thing of children supposed to be quiet. There's this thing of you can't express yourself too much. You can't do too much, or you're doing too much if you say anything type feelings. So I can remember through my youth and probably into some of my teenage years of really being able to say something, say the no's, set the boundaries, say when I was uncomfortable. I didn't do it. I learned it. And the quote says, always say what you mean and mean what you say. Express how you feel and don't ever apologize for being what? Real.
And that's a big thing. That's a big thing, because what happens is sometimes we don't say anything because we may not necessarily be clear on how we feel about something. There are a lot of things that we ride the fence on, as individuals, because we have so much information coming at us that sometimes we tend to ride popular opinion and we go
Yeah.
with that, but we don't really know why we stand 10 toes down on it. Why
Yes.
are we standing on this? And that's something that's huge. And we'll always be talking about this in some form or fashion, where it's this idea of knowing what it is. We have to be clear on what it is that we believe, so that way when it's challenged, we can say, no, I believe this, or
Yeah.
this is so because research or experience or something has told me that this is why I stand on this. But if
Yeah.
you're flim-flammy about it and you're not clear, sometimes you won't say anything because you don't want to be challenged.
You don't want to be
You don't
challenged.
want anybody to challenge you or to say, oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
or how do you know? And
Yeah.
if you don't have that answer, you're not inclined to speak up as much because you don't know why you believe what you believe.
Yes.
Be clear about why it is that you feel that way about something. And those are the kinds of questions that you want to ask yourself before a situation arises. If it's something that's happened in the past, just say, well, how did I feel about it? Or how did I deal with that the last time?
Yeah.
Every now and then, just ask yourself a question and say, how do I feel about this? Especially if you're a single person and you're talking about getting into a relationship, think about some of those hard situations or questions that came up.
Yeah.
And start asking yourself, okay, well, how did I feel about that situation? Or if something is happening and you're feeling triggered, ask yourself, why is it that I'm feeling triggered by this? What
Right.
is it that's making me feel this way? And what can I do to get out of it? Don't wait until it
Exactly.
happens, but anticipate it.
So when I'm working with clients, one of the biggest things I do, because it's a trauma response, right? It's not about what's going on now. It's about what happened back then. So what I have them do is to go back into that space and give themselves that room. Go back to your younger self and tell yourself, I care.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this person wasn't able to do that for you. That just wasn't them. There's nothing wrong with them. They just didn't have those particular tools in them, in those particular ways to give that to you. However, I will listen. And that's giving your younger self power because guess what? When we have trauma in the younger years, we behave the same way as adults. It just looks like an adult form of it.
Right.
That's why it's called trauma a lot of times. So the response, because you were feeling unsafe from expressing, you go back and tell your younger self, 7-year-old Sheronda, I'm sorry you didn't feel safe being able to express yourself. However, I'm here now. What you want to say? What we're going to talk about? And you allow yourself room. So then as an adult, you start feeling less apologetic about hurting somebody's feelings.
Right.
Or not feeling like your voice matters. You have to give yourself room for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to read the tip?
The tip says
practice.
Yeah. It says practice pausing before responding. Ask yourself, what do I actually feel or need? Start small by expressing honest but gentle opinions in safe spaces.
Don't go on the job trying to start popping off now. That might not be safe.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't practice there yet. You'll get there.
That's right. But start at home. Start with your significant other. Start with your children. Start with it. But you have to be able to ask yourself, how do you really feel? Tap into your emotions, and that's going to help. All right, let's move on. Rejected. You expect rejection before it happens.
Ooh.
Okay, a defense mechanism from past experiences of abandonment or emotional neglect.
Ooh.
That's huge. I'm not going to get into this relationship. I'm not going to do this because the last time this is what happened. But you have to realize that, it's a different person or it's a different situation.
Yes.
And so we have to look at it through a different lens.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't do that. We take the baggage and the every time, or if I wear this, or if I do this, somebody's going to laugh or somebody's going to do that. How do you know?
Yep.
And what was it that made you go and do it a second time if you felt so strongly about the rejection that you felt the first time? So why are you doing it again? Something in your mind or your spirit said, okay, no, it's going to be okay this time. So why all of a sudden when we, peel that Band-Aid, rip that Band-Aid off and say, I'm going to go out there and expose myself again, do we all of a sudden get that feeling of rejection? And now all of a sudden we're self-conscious about it.
Yeah. Looking at it from a shadower perspective, again, if this is something traumatic from a childhood experience, if you had a parent who died when you were very young, or both parents died, or a parent who sent you into the system and you were adopted, those feelings of abandonment start way back then. That's where the feelings can come from, or emotional neglect. They were there, but emotionally they didn't pay you any attention. They fed you, you had some clothes to put on, but there was no true connection with the people that you were around. I coached a young lady who was a therapist, and she really struggled with friendships because she was already afraid in advance that either somebody was going to die or they wasn't going to like her. So she came from a rejected standpoint, so she isolated herself because it just, when her mother died, I think when she was 7. And then when her mother passed, that was the only person who took care of her. So then she bounced around the family members, and nobody really wanted, I don't really want her, but she here, feed her. And they kind of made her feel. So she developed this feeling of rejection that she really had to learn to work through. And number one, to be happy with herself as an adult. So she had to, go back into that childhood stuff again and talk to her younger self and give herself the validation that she needed in order to function without feeling so rejected.
Yeah, just like you said, it's like putting up a shell. It's like having a shield up because you feel like shots are going to be fired. So you got to put that shield up to make sure that you're protecting yourself. And if I reject myself, then it's not going to hurt as badly when somebody else rejects me. So if I beat them to the punch, that's going to make it better. That's going to make it easier for me to deal with this. So you put up that wall just in case. But if you're doing that, you're constantly, you're getting to that place of self-isolation again.
Yeah.
Where you're putting up that wall that didn't necessarily need to be there. And then that person who is trying to penetrate that wall, you're making it difficult for them to be.
That's what Ingrid said. I already know what she talked about too. She said, "This is my current situation. I'm working on it. It's tough. Fear in advance is a perfect description." And that's why I like the tip for you. It says, notice when you're assuming the worst and challenge the thought. Instead of, they probably don't like me, try, I don't have proof of that. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe they haven't got my message yet. Maybe they're just not interested and I need them to get the fuck on. It's but sometimes it's your head plays with you and you've already had feelings of abandonment. This person's gonna leave. I'm telling you, after Cal passed, I didn't want to get in a relationship because I just knew they was gonna die. It's not even logical, but that's the feeling, because it's like it felt like abandonment. He just disappeared all of a sudden. Right. I'm thinking he's coming home. Now he's disappeared, and now everybody's going to disappear. And I had to work through that myself, Ingrid. I really did.
Yeah. It's not easy. It's not easy, and like you said, it takes a lot of self reflection. It takes a lot of introspection. It takes a lot, and that, like you said, is the hardest part because it's coming from within. And until we can change our mindset, or until we can get in a different space, we can get stuck there. We can get stuck in that vacuum.
And let me say, Kim, she said the intrusive thoughts take you deep down the rabbit hole. Absolutely. But you know what I think is a great space to start when it comes to this feeling is being able to fortify yourself with yourself. Like I'm so happy with individually who I am, that no matter who comes, if they leave, I'm still happy with who I am. And I'm thankful for the experience. I don't have to be sad they're no longer here. I ain't saying in death per se.
Right.
Let me put that asterisk up there real quick. But in terms of somebody walking away in this relationship, a divorce, somebody is still a form of grief. They're all still forms of grief. However, I still feel whole and happy, and I get to shed the tears and miss the person. But so the fuck what if they go? And not being rude, I'm saying, how does that shift how beautiful and amazing and powerful and worthy and all those things I am before they came and after they leave? So the more that we believe that, the fear of being left is less impactful. It is so much less impactful when you feel so powerful within yourself.
I love that. And you make a beautiful point. We have to remember that we are human beings. We are spiritual beings living a human experience. So we're going to go through the myriad of emotions. Allow yourself to feel them. That's why we always talk about being in the present. Be in this present moment and experience it and feel it for what it is right now, right in this moment. And then if it's something, yes, like Sheronda was saying, shed the tears, have that little moment where you feel frustrated, and then release it. That's the homeostasis. Release it, because it's in our DNA to do that. Release those feelings in a safe and a powerful way, and then you're able to move on from there.
And not associated with the next person.
That's it. That's it. It's not contingent on that person. It's on you. All right. Okay. It says struggle to enjoy, and I can't see it coming.
The present.
The present. How about that? A response from being in survival mode so long that peace feels unfamiliar or temporary. To be just talking about this, we didn't turn the slide and we're right there. Yes. Okay. But that's it. You struggle to enjoy the present. We don't know. We're so busy looking at, and thinking about the things that we need to do. I need to do this later on. I need to go ahead and do this. What am I have for dinner? What am I going to do for it? What am I going to do tomorrow? And then you miss out on everything that's
happening right now.
Okay. All right. I'm a nana, so I got a grandbaby, and that child will talk me from the moment I step through the door until the time for her to close her door and say goodnight. Okay. But I have to make sure that I'm making eye contact. I have to make sure that I'm present, because she may say something and I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss. She may say something very right, and I'll be like, oh, and because I missed it, it may have been a cue or a signal for me to do something, and I missed it. We have to be present in what's happening right now, because sometimes in our need to think so far ahead, we don't get to celebrate the small wins that are happening right now.
And that's why you're so depressed. I'm gonna respond to Ingrid real quick for that, because that's about the last slide. The feeling that them leaving validates the negative thoughts and feelings. That's my struggle. But that's the struggle is changing the negative thoughts and feelings, because somebody leaving to me, somebody leaving can be the most positive thing in the world, because they're not dragging you in a space where you don't want to be. You're not fully and authentically you when a person is there and they don't even fully want to be there. You may be all happy and hungry. Who wants somebody to be around them and they're not fully happy?
Right.
I don't want you to stay with me. I can feel all joyful and happy and giddy every time you walk in the door. But if when you walk in the door, you feel misery, my man, please go be free. Please go be free. You deserve to be free in who you are and what you want from life. Please go. I'm going to do my crying. I'm going to do my question. What's wrong with me? I'm going to go through my changes, and I'm going to shake this shit off, and then I'm going to keep it pushing and realize he had to go. That's a positive experience. That's not a negative experience. So that's why it's all good. That's the work is in the negative thoughts and the thoughts. What she say, thoughts and feelings. That's where the work is. It's not in the people. It's just in how do I change my thoughts. That's all.
And just like when they say, if you love them, let them go. There's a reason why you have to set them free. You don't want the person who you care about, or the person that you think that you're in that commitment with. You don't want them to feel trapped, because then all they're doing is they're having animosity towards you, because you're not giving them the liberty to be free to do what they need to do, and you're limiting yourself too, because what happens is sometimes we have this, I have to solve this person's life, I've got to change it for them, and it may not be that's your part in their life.
Yes.
Everybody comes into your life for a season and for a reason. Somebody could be there to plant the seed. Somebody's going to be there to water it. Somebody's going to be there to put sun on it. Somebody's going to be there to feed it. It may not be for you to be there through all stages of that person's life. So you have to be able to release people to sprout and grow and do the things that they need to do.
Be greater than you were before. What?
Yeah. We can't stunt their growth.
And that's all what Ingrid just said, but I'm going to return to, because Ingrid will have a whole life coaching session on here tonight. I ain't fooling with her. But it goes, everything she's talking about goes back to this slide we're on right now, is struggling to enjoy the present. Worrying about what may happen takes you away from here. Right. That loving touch, that beautiful kiss, the wind in your hair, the way the sun feels beaming on you in that moment, the way that the ocean feels touching your feet, everything that's happening to your body that's trying to consume the earth. In present moments, we're in the consumption of everything that's happening now, not the things that may happen or the things that already happened. We're in the present. I get to right now touch this. Anything could happen to me tomorrow and I won't be able to touch. Okay, I could break both hands and I can't lift the candle tomorrow. And I know that's an extreme example, but it's examples of stuff that happens to people. Anything can happen tomorrow. Yes, this person may be gone tomorrow, but today I'm going to dance. Today I'm going to enjoy the smell. I'm telling my business. G is going to laugh at me. I like the smell of his breath. I will get so far in his face just to sniff his exhale. I know what that smell feels like. That smell smells like at this point. I'm going to enjoy that in these moments. And if I have to lose him, I'm going to miss that smell. But I'm not going to shortchange myself because I'm scared of what may possibly, the rug might be pulled. It might. You might leave first. I might leave first. The sun may fall out the sky. The way things looking right now, the sun and the moon might fall out the sky in society right now. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
What about today?
All the more reason to say, just like you said. All the more reason to say I love you. All the more reason to snuggle a little closer. All the more reason to say, okay, what can we do today? Because we don't know the moment or the hour. I travel a whole lot. We know that. We always talking about where in the world's Carmen San Diego. Where am I? I'm always in the air, always flying somewhere. But trust and believe, I'm not getting on that plane. That plane is not lifting off the ground before I tell my daughter, my granddaughter, and my husband, I love y'all. See y'all when I get back, or I'll text you when I land, whatever. But they're going to know that I love that because that I love them. And if that's the last thing that I say, they're going to know, well, something happened to mom or something happened to my wife. I knew that she loved me because she told me so. I look at that picture and that you have people who go on vacations and are sitting on the beach and they're worried about the job and what they're going to do when they get back. And they're missing God's creation. They're missing the water, the sun on their skin and how it feels. You're missing all of that, worrying about something that hasn't even occurred yet.
It may never.
And if it never happens or it doesn't happen for a long time, then look at all the opportunities that you missed to connect, to be.
Look at the colors in the sky. Look at the clouds. That's something me and G will do. We will cloud stare and try to point from all on the ground now and clouds with each other. You see how that one looks like such and such?
Right.
No, I don't see it. But we're still trying to take in that moment of being present with what's going on right here, the sounds. And that's what the tip is. Ground yourself with mindfulness. I am starting my store, if Kim don't mind me doing a quick plug, called the Mindfulness Moments. And this is what it's going to be all about, creating spaces and tools for you to learn how to be more present. I'm gonna throw my laptop up. Those are some of the pillows that I've created so far. I have about 20 more to add to that stack, and we're gonna keep it pushing so that then we create them specifically for your body to be able to sit up upright, to be able to feel comfortable, and you can be present with how do my feet feel touching the space? Where are my hands? Are my hands on my lap? It says ground yourself. Focus on small sensory details, what you see, what you hear, what you feel, to remind yourself that right now you are safe. And that's what mindfulness is being very focused on what's happening here. It's not that you're never going to worry. It's being able to catch yourself in the moment that you're saying, what if this happens? Wait, you're right. It may happen. But what's happening right now? Right. The house smells like this. My hair feels like this on my ear. You bring yourself to the present and whatever you can see, colors, smells, and now you don't have to worry so much because you're enjoying here.
I love it. I love it. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, you know how we do.
It's on you, okay? You know I can go all day.
What time is it? Okay. Oh Lord, you feel responsible for other people's emotions. That's a bad habit. That is a true bad habit, and that is a true trauma response. I have felt that way before. You okay? Are you okay? You mad? What happened? What did I do? Oh my God. What's up? Please don't do that to me now. Your feelings gonna be so busted. Busted because the level of I don't give a F is high. And it's not a true I don't care. It's like I asked one time and then I'm done with it. I think I learned that probably from Kim. Kim, is that you? They were just like, okay, no, I'm done with it. I'm not going to keep asking you 101 times. What's
No, I'm
wrong
not.
with you?
I'm not going. Hmm? That's me. That's me. I don't like that. I don't like it. Okay, it's just, like you said. I can't take on your responsibility because I'm not. It's not my circumstance. It's yours, and because I don't know all of the variables, it's very difficult for me to take on the responsibility of somebody else's emotions when I don't know all of the. I know your side of the story, but just let me tell you, there's three sides to the story: your side, their side, and the truth. Okay, there's always something that's going on, and you only know what that person is you know letting you, I mean, allowing you to be privy to. That's
Yes.
all that you know. And so, no, I can't take on somebody else's responsibility. I have lost patches of hair worrying about people. And oh my goodness, I got to lay up there. I got to sit up by you. I got to pet you. I have to do these things like that. And again, you're putting yourself in a space of enabling that person because now they're leaning on you and now they're looking for you to be the scapegoat. Because if it is not the proper response or it doesn't turn out the way that they thought it was going to turn out, now they're blaming you. So you're putting yourself into the blame game. Yes, thank you,
Water
water
tea
tea
lemonade.
lemonade. Okay, I like that, water tea lemonade.
Water tea
Yes,
lemonade.
but
Yeah.
that because that's what we tend to do. That person is using you as a scapegoat because now they want you to filter their. It's like you're a Brita filter. Now you're filtering somebody's emotions for them. Are
Yeah.
you a strainer? How
Yep.
does that work?
Yes.
How does that
Oh,
work?
Ingrid, I agree with that. But I'm glad you're still on here because I wanted to hit Spirit just said to me real quick. When you said peace and happiness feels temporary, again, that's another space to do the work. Peace and happiness is eternal.
Yes, it is.
Peace and happiness is eternal. If you so choose to believe. Those are eternal. So even when the rug snatched, they exist. Oh, come on, Spirit. Peace
Yes.
and happiness exist in all moments of your life. They don't stop just because something unfortunate, painful, anything happens to us. It's just how we able to reconnect to it. Oh, that's Tiana. Hey, T baby.
Hey.
That's how we reconnect. Knowing, oh, come on, Spirit. When you allow yourself to be mindful of your
Yes.
present moments, especially things like that slide had the girl on the beach. If you had these moments that felt good, mindfulness allows you to tap back into that feeling. The purpose of being present is when you're going through the hardest times of your life, you have already have a familiar feeling, which was peace and happiness. I know what peace feels like. I know what happiness feels like. So now that I'm going through this thing, I'm aware of it happening, but I'm going to pull this emotion of peace and happiness from over here so I can maintain my damn peace and happiness. And I'm going to
Yes.
figure out how the fuck I'm going to get through this right here. This is happening. In this present moment, this tire has blown. But however, I'm about to find my peace in this space. I'm going to figure out how we're going to get this fixed, and I'm not going to lose my mind. No matter what happens in my life, I'm going to recreate that feeling. And that's why we practice mindfulness.
Yes.
Oh, I just had to.
Okay. Yeah. Like, look, and spiritually speaking, okay, just like God is always there.
God is peace.
Always there. He's waiting on us. And so, yes, when we have trials and tribulations, things that happen, then we go back to source. We go back to prayer. We go back to the promises that he made.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, there's always, like you said, that spirit of perfect peace is always there. It's a matter of us tapping into it.
Mm-hmm.
It never leaves us. It's always there. The Holy Spirit is always there, but we have to tap in.
You have to go to it. And if you
We
never
have
had a relationship, well, you won't know what it feels like when you tap in.
correct.
And I'm gonna answer
Correct.
T's question too, and you can chime in too. She said, "Why is it that when I'm always again, she's a little late because we talked about this, but it's okay. We can go back. Why is it that I always lean into my most sad moments when I'm triggered? I've experienced peace and happiness before. Why do I not go there first? We talk. That's what this whole thing is about today, and I love you brought that up. Trauma makes you when trauma's familiar,
Right.
you go to things that hurt. Things that hurt makes you say, "Oh, I knew that was going to happen." That's what we was talking about in the last slide. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Rejected. Now I'm rejected. Now I'm hurt. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. And that's why it requires the work and training and consistency and over again to reach for peace. A
Yes.
daily practice of mindful meditation is is how you begin to tap into the happier things. Trauma is unfortunately, and I'm sorry, the majority of us have been traumatized by something at some point in our life, and the majority of us also is experiencing in childhood as well.
Right.
However, you have to fight for that space. You fight for your space of peace by noticing my mind and my body's wanting to feel pain. And I had to tell, I swear, Kim, don't kick me off the show, please. I had to tell myself, bitch, we are not about to pout today. We're not doing it. I
Right.
feel you wanting to bring up them old emotions of what they did to you. That's not what we're doing. That happened. You were a victim. You are not a perpetual victim. We whole and we happy today. So we're gonna find out what today, what's gonna smell good, what feels good, what tastes good, what is gonna make me feel the feelings that I want to feel. We can't let trauma run away with it. Because guess what it's gonna do?
Right. Right. You're right. We're always going to default back to, you know how I am. Like I said, I'm called your toolbox essentialist for a reason. What do you have to reach back to? That's the thing. If we don't have anything to reach for, if spiritually speaking, we don't have a scripture verse, we don't have something to go back to, we don't know where to go except back to that negative emotion because we have not figured out how to resolve it.
We haven't
So
worked
we haven't figured out how to resolve it. We don't know what to reach back for.
Mm-hmm.
If what's the safety net? We don't know what it is.
That's it.
You know, think about when you go broke and you don't have any money. You start thinking about, okay, now who do I know who has money? Who do I know who can help me? Who can I know is going to pull me out of it?
Mm-hmm.
You already have that thing that's going to pull you up out of that rut.
Already.
But now when we talk about things that are happening emotionally to us, sometimes we don't have that reach back. But we may not have that person that we need to go to, that coach or that person that we have a connection with, that we can share that information with. If we don't have that, we don't have any point of reference.
Yeah.
And that's where we get to that point again where I was saying where we wind up reacting instead of responding because we don't know what to do. And so because we don't have that reach back, we don't know. We're gonna default to, I don't know how to get out of this, so I guess I have to stay in it. And this is what happened before, and this is the problem, and that's how you start cycling down. Yeah. But if you have some way to get out of it, and you see some way out of it, and you've experienced that, then you're going to go in that direction. You're going to go in the direction of least resistance.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't have anything,
say again. Of what resistance?
Huh?
What resistance?
Least resistance.
Least. Meaning trauma's gonna be like, come on.
That's it. Misery loves company. It's going to call, and like I said, if it's going to be too much for you to figure out how to dig yourself out, it's easier to just go slide right on down. Easier to just slide back down and go on it. That's why we tend to go that way instead of going up, because anything that's going to require extra work, we're not going to do it because we get lazy. It's easier
because it feels better to be with what's familiar. That's why people look at women who are abused and say, why did she stay with him? Because it's familiar. She's not being
10 years into this relationship.
It feels normal. Yeah. It's the same exact emotional space where we come from. When we always, I do it too, T. I'm telling you. And most people, if they admitted it, they do it too. We'll start thinking about some negative stuff first, and that's okay. That's not what healing's about. Healing ain't beating you up for thinking about something negative. Hell no. That's going to happen. Healing shows you when you can say, I was going to ask you how many slides are left. Can we do a part 2? Oh, it's 2 left. Okay. But yeah, we could do that in time. But it's giving you that opportunity to say, oh, there goes that feeling of that trauma feeling. It makes me uncomfortable. Where do you feel it? It's in my belly. It's in my chest. It's in my eyes. I want to cry. All right. Okay, but yeah, we'll go back to the slide real quick so we get past these next 2.
Right. And wait, okay, well, Water Tea Lemonade says, so I be having those slide down the wall moments, but mentally. That's a toxic normalcy or a triggered response. Yeah.
Peep it.
You said it.
Peep it.
Okay. All right. You feel the need to fix people. They must know my husband. Shout out to Jay. Love you, baby. Okay. He feels the need to, I was like, you are not a social worker unless you are a social worker by trade. It says, I used to want to fix people. Now I just want to be with them. Okay. A trauma response from growing up in chaos and feeling responsible for others' well-being, making you believe love means saving people.
Yes. Ooh.
like you said, the need to fix people. We can't put ourselves in a position of fixing someone, because some of, like you said, it comes from within.
Yeah.
So unless you putting people on like leotards and bodysuits, okay, you can't fix people, because you don't know what's going on in their mind. You don't know all of their history. You know a lot of it, but unless that person was born in the same house with you
You
and
didn't live
you
it, and
experienced the
even that don't
exact
work.
same thing, even then, right?
Mhm.
We feel that need to fix people, and that just comes from, for some people, that need to feel needed. If
That
I
needs
fix that person and I help that person, then I in turn feel needed, and that boosts my morale. That boosts,
yeah.
because I feel like I'm not in a space of being fixed, but now I can fix somebody else. So that means that I'm relevant. But are you being relevant to yourself?
Absolutely. And hey, I know that's part of the reason I'm a life coach. But I learned to make it work in my favor. I do like to fix people. I like to see people feel better. But and again, I can't even have friends who ain't gonna make sure they do the same thing for me. I don't even want you in my circle if I can't trust that you're gonna call me out on my dumbness or something crazy I'm about to do, or be able to cheerlead me on and be a real cheerleader, not the fake ones that the score is 50-7 and you cheerlead me, and then we in the fourth quarter and there's 2 seconds and we still cheering. No, I want you to be like, Heifer, you didn't do that right. Try it again, and let's do this differently this time. And that's the fixing. That's the, I want you to be with me and show me and let me learn for me. I don't need you to fix it though. But I know that's why I'm a life coach. I can guarantee you that's why I'm a life coach. It says remind yourself that healing is a personal journey. Theirs is personal, yours is personal. You can support others, but you are not responsible for fixing them. Focus on being present, not rescuing.
I'm always talking about that cup. Fill your cup to overflow, so that when your overflow is there, you're pouring from your overflow, and now you both have something to cheer. You both have something to toast to, because you both have cups that are full. That's what we have to do. We have to be able to fill ourselves. It doesn't make any sense. I'm giving you all my money and then I'm crying broke. How does that work?
I don't know how it's easy to help others, girl. You got to teach me that one, because people.
But people do it all the time. We give at the expense of ourselves.
It's not easier, is what I'm saying. I've done it.
Yes.
It'll feel easier
to the point where now you're mentally and physically exhausted. What happens when you are not? Who are you tapping into?
And that just sounds like avoidance. It sounds like you're avoiding whatever's going on within yourself. Correct. Because it is easier to look at other people's shit and want to fix theirs. But what? I gotta look at me.
Right.
But I'd rather look at myself because she's cute.
Yeah. But just like Tiana's saying, it feels like it's easier to help others than to help yourself. Absolutely. Because we're on the outside looking in, and we don't have to address our own faults or the things that may be keeping. So that's what happens. And so it's easier to solve somebody else's. And then, like I said, at the same time, we're boosting our own ego. Look at me. I helped to fix somebody else. I helped to get them on the other side. And then you turn around and you're in the corner crying.
Laying in bed, crying all night once again.
Because we don't want to look in the mirror sometimes. We don't want to, because sometimes we don't like what we see. But that's the best place to start. Okay. All right. Last one.
Okay. You struggle to stand up for yourself. Whoa. I don't know too many of y'all like this at this point, but maybe when we were younger, because y'all a bunch of bullies around here these days. I'm just playing. A trauma response from past experiences where speaking up led to conflict, punishment, or being ignored. Yeah, I can see that. Where somebody may struggle to stand up for themselves during those moments, and during those moments where they're being confronted with a true, what are you going to do? Well, I'm just going to do what you're going to do. No. That thing says some people will push your limits until you push back. Your pushback gives you your authentic voice. It gives you your fingerprint. It shows everybody who you are in the world with that social security number, with that full identity of how you show up. That's your voice. And maybe you're not always right, but sometimes you have to know how to use it in order to stand up for yourself.
Right. And like I said, I think a lot of it comes from, like you said, a lack of wisdom. We are constantly second guessing ourselves. People who don't stand up for themselves, they have trouble, being clear again about where they stand. they're not sure, and so they rather not say anything because they don't want the backlash. They don't want the judgment that comes with you standing up for yourself, because standing up for yourself means that you have taken a position on something and you're standing 10 toes down on it. And so if you're not going to be there, then you tend to pull back. And that's where it is. It goes back to, why do I believe what it is that I believe? Because I can't speak on something I know nothing about just because I'm following everybody else. Don't be a sheeple and just be doing things because you see everybody else doing it. Ask yourself why. Yes. Think about being childlike. Ask yourself, why is it that I believe, why do I feel this way about it? Yeah. And be sure about that. Otherwise, yes, it's going to be hard for you to stand up for yourself. Because if you don't stand up for something, you'll fall for what? Everything.
Anything. And like T said, is that a form of people pleasing? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You're trying to make sure everybody else feels comfortable in their own skin while you're uncomfortable in yours.
You just following the crowd. Popular belief. Everybody's believing it. I'm saying they holding up a picket sign. Everybody's holding picket signs. Let me go and grab one too. Do you know what you holding up picket sign for? You better know what you're standing for.
Yeah. Yeah. And the tip says to start small. Practice asserting yourself in low-risk situations. Like I said, don't go on the job acting crazy now. Now you got a voice. You go in there tomorrow and start raising. No. Low-risk situations at home, like Kim said, at home with your family and your kids. Remind yourself that your voice matters. And setting boundaries, it's not rude. It's just that boundaries are not rude, y'all. They're necessary. You need them. You need them.
That's it. You're not a wild horse. You're not just out there in the wilderness running around in circles like that. Sometimes we have to be able to have some parameters to work in, so that way we can figure some things out.
Yes.
You know, and that's why this is critical. This has been a good one. This was a good one.
I told you. I was like, Kim.
Yeah, she did, and I believed her.
She did. My eyeballs went straight all the way over to wherever she was and wherever conversation was in that moment. My eyes went.
But just like you said, sometimes it's the trauma. It's the trauma. We're wanting to get to a place where we're moving away from those bad habits and picking up those healthy habits. Asking ourselves the question, why? Why is it that we're doing the things that we're doing? Why is it that we're believing the things that we're believing? Okay. So like I said, go back, rewind it, take some notes. Make sure you guys are following us, liking, following, and sharing and subscribing to our YouTube channels. They have been rolling and scrolling across the bottom of the page. The entire
and let me
show.
Say something before you close this all the way up, Kim. Sure, before you close this all the way up. I just want to remind you all that going through trauma makes nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's something happened to you. So don't be worried. Oh my gosh, my trauma is doing this to me. It's not doing anything. You're going to do something to it. You're going to challenge these bad habits. You're going to redefine your authentic truth, and you're going to live the happiest and most fulfilled life, all because you have awareness now. I had to do some woo real quick because I don't want nobody getting off here like, no, you're safe.
No.
You're good. It happened to you. It is not you.
That's it. All right, y'all. That'll do it for this edition of Redefining Authenticity. Like I said, like, follow, share, and subscribe. Make sure that you guys tap in, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next time. And until then, peace.